Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Let's go through the numbers real quick. Tesla stock is down 6%, just below $380 per share. Nvidia down 3-4%. Overall markets are down. Dow Jones down 0.4, Nasdaq down 1.4, S&P 500 down 1%. Please let me know how the quality is on X or on YouTube. I would appreciate that. Russell 2000 down 1.3%. Very volatile day today, obviously. Nvidia, Apple, Tesla didn't recover from the lows or the morning. Microsoft is also down. Google is also down about 1%. Meta is up 1.4%. Meta has been running by far the best performer after DeepSeek news. In the last 5 days, Meta is up 5%. Since mid-January, Meta is up 18%, which is amazing. Amazing. Apple down 4% today. It's been volatile since the earnings announcement, but it's been about 10% down after surging briefly after the earnings announcement. Crude oil is back at 72, $73 per barrel. Not much movement there, despite a scare earlier today. And last night, it went up to about 75, and that was about it. People were scared that Canadian oil, tariffs on Canadian oil would drive up oil prices, but that obviously is not materializing. So the markets still believe that Trump is kind of just jawboning. He's not going to go through with these tariffs. Um, so there hasn't been any major change except during thin trading over the weekend. And the market has been right so far. I mean, Trump walked back his rhetoric on Mexico after they agreed to putting up 10,000 troops at the border, which, will they do? Won't they do? We'll see. And earlier he had said that there's nothing Mexico and Canada can do. Um, he's not looking for concessions. He's not looking for this and that. He didn't have an ask. And all that turned out to be a complete nonsense and empty words, which is exactly what the experts called and what the market called, and the market was right. Amazing. This morning we got the S&P Global U.S. Manufacturing PMI. The final read for January was 51.2, which shows growth after more than 2 years of contraction in the manufacturing sector. ISM Manufacturing Index 50.9 for January as well, also showing growth, and construction spending up 0.5%. GDP now for Q1 is estimated right now to be 3.9%. So Atlanta Fed is estimating very strong growth, real GDP growth rate of 3.9% for Q1. The early estimates are, it can be very volatile. So give it a few more weeks and then we'll see where we are. I was listening to on Tesla, I was listening to a report today from Autoline that says, actually, let me just pin this tweet at the top first. This tweet from Motorhead, who is a well-known Tesla bear. He says a view of Tesla sales going back in 2025 based on early reporting in European countries in January. So European countries, they report EV sales by brand month by month, and these are the ones that have announced so far. And you can see the year-over-year drop in Tesla sales in Europe so far is close to 50%. So it's almost halved from last January, which is incredible. Almost halved since last January. Um, this is a really massive drop, and the headlines around Nazi salute was came in towards the end of January, so that wouldn't really have impacted January sales, January deliveries. We're going to see the impact of that in February, and Tesla's really struggling in Europe. And then on top of that, Autoline reported today January sales in China by brand, and BYD, Xpeng, and others are growing double digits. I think BYD grew about 50%. Um, another brand grew about 90, Geely grew about 90%. So Tesla, even though the deliveries are rising in China, it's losing market share at a very rapid pace. So the only reason why the deliveries are growing in Tesla China's deliveries are growing in China is because the market is growing faster. But that market is going to saturate at some point. There's only a certain number of cars that even the Chinese population, as big as it is, needs, and the growth rate of population has slowed down. And and Tesla doesn't make any money in China. Other automakers are pulling back from China. A couple of the European automakers, as well as GM, are scaling back. They're selling their factories because the competition is just so intense, and they don't make any money. So I think that that might also be true for Tesla in the future. So Tesla's future in China is questionable, in my opinion. Especially if these tariff wars escalate. We've seen Canada put up retaliatory tariffs to Tesla, EVs, and imports from US. And I would expect a similar measure from China at some point if Trump goes through with his 10%. So, um, already BYD is blocked from the US market, which is the most lucrative market, or other Chinese automakers, but they're dominating in America, in South America. So, you know, already it's kind of tilted towards Tesla's side, the US side, because, Tesla is allowed to even own its own factory in China, let alone sell in China. Um, so I'm not sure, I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but I just can't see it being this situation changing anytime soon. Tesla doesn't make any money in China, despite the fact that its average selling price is double that of BYD, which actually makes money. And in absolute terms, it makes more money, bottom line, than Tesla does globally. And the gross margin is also higher than Tesla. So Tesla Automotive is struggling, both in China and Europe. Data point after data point, we're seeing that. That's why I'm short Tesla stock. One reason Tesla stock is at $380 per share right now, and I think it's headed towards $100 per share. Let's read one of these articles here. Get an overview. Any questions, comments? Please request to speak. All right, let's see. Wall Street's main indices paired losses on Monday as US President Donald Trump delayed new tariffs on Mexico after his order to levy steep tariffs on key trading partners sparked a global scramble to safe haven assets earlier in the session. Trump said on Monday he has paused new tariffs on Mexico for 1 month after the nation agreed to reinforce its northern border with 10,000 National Guard members to stem the flow of illegal drugs, particularly fentanyl. Talking about the negotiations with Mexico, Steve Sochnik, chief market analyst at Interactive Brokers, said this raises the possibility that there is some negotiating room with either Canada, China, or both. It is much more encouraging to the markets that there is this pause, and that's exactly why the market shot higher. However, the New York Times cited a senior Canadian government official saying that Canada is not optimistic about getting a similar reprieve. Over the weekend, Trump had imposed hefty new tariffs on 25% on imports from Mexico and China, Canada, and 10% China, which he said may cause short-term pain for Americans. Analysts at Citi noted that if tariffs persist, markets are likely to move further down and inflation effects will emerge. Yeah, I was looking at some Fed studies from earlier years, and a one-time jump in inflation could be in the cards, but then it subsides. It's only a one-time kind of 1 year kind of thing, and then so I don't really see the Fed um, taking drastic action as to raise rates several times or something along those lines. I don't see that happening, but it does slow down global growth. It's tariff wars slow down global growth, which means more unemployment. So um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Well, in Mexico, he just delayed it for 1 month. We'll see if that means it's just going to be implemented a month later, or there's going to be more negotiations. Treasury yields edged down as investors fled to safer assets such as bonds and gold. Spot gold scaled at an all-time high, which is exactly what we predicted in last night's subscribers only space. Flight to safety was the name of the game until this deal with Mexico was announced. Legacy automakers who have been roiled by the impending tariffs also recouped most of their losses, with both Ford and GM down over 1% each. GM stock has been very volatile. Right now, it's down 3%. And it's been the most volatile automotive stock with these tariff talks. Ford, a bit less volatile, but Ford stock hasn't increased as much as GM stock in the last year. So Ford stock is basically just kind of slammed against the $10 per share level. CBOE Volatility Index VIX, known as Wall Street's fear gauge, dropped back from its highest level in a week, last at 17.72 points. Quarterly earnings, meanwhile, remained in full swing, with Tyson Foods gaining 1.7% after the meat packer raised its annual sales forecast, while IDEX Laboratories added 11% after the animal diagnostics maker beat fourth quarter profit and revenue estimates. On the data front, US manufacturing grew for the first time in more than 2 years in January. We talked about that earlier. Okay, so that's that. Later today, Palantir is going to announce earnings. I have a short position in Palantir. The stock is at all-time highs right now. $189 billion company, 400 plus P ratio, doesn't pay any dividends. And it's $83 per share is the all-time highs. And I'm really curious what's going to come out. I don't know much about the company, to be honest. Um, the way I kind of see it, they're a bit more of a consulting business more than anything else. But obviously, the market doesn't see it that way. They have an extremely cultish, um, following, just like Tesla or Nvidia, and they have a charismatic CEO again, just like Tesla, but no earnings, no earnings. So that may change as they scale. Who knows? That's TBD, I guess. But yeah, interesting company for sure. And I'm going to be on the earnings call tonight to kind of see what they say and see what I want to do with my short position. Any questions, comments? Please request to speak. Palantir operates in data analytics and AI space, specializing in government contracts and enterprise solutions for big data processing. Similar business models overlooking areas expertise are Snowflake, Datadog, Splunk, Alteryx, C3 AI. On the government defense focused tech companies, Booz Allen Hamilton, SAIC, Parsons, Northrop Grumman, and AI machine learning, Microsoft, Google, IBM, Oracle. Yeah. Let's see what the analysts are saying going into the earnings. Price to sales ratio of 71 times, forward PE ratio of about 200, historical PE ratio of about 400. There's some insider selling in the last year or two. Insiders own about 10% of the company. Gross margin is about 81%, operating margin is about 14%. So, um, three times beta. It's a very, very volatile stock. Has a lot of leverage. People play with calls and puts and leverage ETFs, just like Tesla, which is kind of interesting. 4% of the float is short. So the short interest, there's some short interest, but it's not very massive. Lots of YouTube channels about the company. Oh, machine is here. Look at that. Palantir earnings will put stock rally to the test again. Typically a high stakes affair, and the rally in the stock to a recent $82 has raised the stakes even more for the fourth quarter report due to the market close on Monday. If machine can't come out, we can't talk about tariffs, inflation, the Fed, um, Tesla earnings, FSD, etc. But if he doesn't want to, I'm going to read this Palantir earnings preview. Wall Street analysts mostly take a dim view of Palantir's stock price, with an average target price of $51, ranging from 11 to 90, according to FactSet. Most analysts have the equivalent of a hold or sell rating on the stock. Out of 18 analysts, there are only 2 buy ratings. Analysts cannot get a good handle on what the total addressable market is, Morningstar analyst Mark Diarra says. Theoretically, Palantir can help almost any company in the world that utilizes data, but what will actually materialize is ambiguous and anyone's best guess. With a price earnings ratio of 173 for the next 12 months, Palantir has to keep proving analysts wrong, something it has done for over 4 years. In the 17 reporting period since it became public, Palantir has beaten the analyst consensus for sales in all but one quarter by an average of 2.4% per period. Most analysts may take a skeptical view of Palantir's pricing, but they're also largely in agreement that it's a fast growing company with strong growth prospects. Machine, how are you?
I'm good. Just back from a hard run.
Yeah.
See, the market has corrected a little bit from the little fear overnight.
Yeah.
How's your positions doing?
Good. Good. I mean, Nvidia, Tesla are both moneymakers. We have Palantir earnings tonight. Carvana, Axon, and a bunch of smaller positions still there. Pretty much the same. How are your positions doing? Do you have any positions, or are you still just short indices?
Um, I'm all indices, but it's, I mean, I'm not. I'm short and long, right? I have a interesting strategy that's working out. I would say well. Um, so I'm outperforming the market. Let's put it that way. But I'm not net short, so
Mhm.
I'm pretty happy with my performance.
Well, good. What are your long positions? What are your short positions?
I mean, right now it's all based around Nasdaq, QQQ, and the leveraged index fund. But I mean, I can't even. I'm sure I'd bore you with my strategy, but basically, I play around a strategy of being somewhat long, but then I have short positions around that, depending on how the market's moving, and that kind of reduces the volatility of my portfolio, basically, versus the Nasdaq, and it also means I do better if it underperforms, um, or is flat, and even if it's slightly down. Now, if it goes down a big amount, obviously, I'm still gonna suffer. And if it goes up really a lot quickly, then I also would suffer. So that's kind of the trade-off. But I think in this environment, I'm not worried about it going up a lot uh, over a long, over months. So we'll see. But right now, it's been working out. I'm like, for instance, in the last month, it looks like Nasdaq is flat in the last month, slightly. Yeah, it's basically flat, and I'm up like 4% in the last month, so I'm doing well.
Oh, that's great. I'm happy for you. What do you think is going Tesla's going to do, say, in the next 12 months?
I have no idea. It's very interesting time for Tesla because, like I said, congratulations to everyone who held on from years ago to come back to all-time highs, uh, and from people who, from last spring, there was a lot of fear about what was going to happen. And frankly, it is surprising how well the stock's doing considering the earnings. But obviously, that's because I think a lot, I mean, people try to play it off as FSD. I think a lot is the Trump trade. And that's hard to predict. Then this stock is based so much on sentiment around Trump, around FSD. Trying to predict what's going to happen with those things this year, I don't know. Because it seems like even if Tesla sales underperform the next few quarters, is that really going to change anything? And sentiment wise, what do you think? I don't think so. I don't know.
I mean, I guess it depends on how much it underperforms, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but the earnings already were this last earnings were underperforming. I mean, they some of the earnings were just from Bitcoin, and I thought there was something else, but um, not that it was all from Bitcoin, but just that even to get to the earnings it had, there was some Bitcoin recognition. So Q1 is probably not going to be good. We know it's not going to be good in absolute terms, but even in relative terms, it might underperform. And I'd have to go back and see what's happened every other year after Q1. I know in general, when Q1 underperforms, it doesn't go well for Tesla in the spring. Uh, I, s- I don't know. I would have to think, unless FSD gets to a point where they're actually doing like truly unsupervised, which is possible, the stock's probably gonna underperform the market, just because sentiment's so high now. If sentiment goes down, it'd be hard for me to think sentiment would go higher. Yeah, but It's possible. So I don't have a good handle on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the fundamentals are really challenged. Tesla's losing market share in China at a very rapid pace. BYD, Geely, Xpeng are seeing digit sales growth. I mean, one of them is like 100% year over year. And Tesla, obviously, despite all the price cuts and 0% interest rates and everything, just not seeing the same. The new Model Y is hitting Model 3 sales. Obviously the mix wise, that's better for Tesla because Model Y has better margins and everything. But um, I think the overall sales number forecasted for 2025 is very high. I think it's going to be down year. So now you're going to have three back-to-back years of no growth, basically. And I think, like you also pointed out, the money that Tesla does make is mostly because of things that are not really central to the business, and that can go away. Like Bitcoin in Q1, Tesla will probably have to recognize a loss. Um, um, then their credit sales are most of Tesla's bottom line profits. The $7,500 credit can go away as well. And now you have tariff wars from Mexico and Canada and China. Tesla's is not going to be. I mean, it's not going to be as impacted as GM, obviously, but it's still going to be impacted. So, um, and I
Yeah,
still
I
think,
mean,
despite all the comments on the call, I think, Hey, go ahead. What were we going to say?
no, I mean, yeah. Listen, it's big picture. If you think back to 2021, when I sold most of my Tesla shares, and I should have sold basically all of them, that was all a good decision. I definitely don't regret it. That was when earnings in 2021 were higher than they are today. This stock has been earning less money for 3 years. And obviously there's a long-term aspiration and potential, and that's what people are investing for. But the fundamentals, even with growing energy, his overall earnings and operating income are lower. And it's just hard to get excited looking at those financials, even though obviously there's a big nugget at the end with FSD and Optimus potentially. It's still hard. You would like to see those fundamentals be going up and having a good value to buy in. So to me, it's just not. I mean, to me, it's not. I would not invest right now. It's not interesting to invest in. Just too much risk. The risk to reward at this valuation is simply too poor or too high.
Um, okay. What do you think about his comments around Optimus? And if you said they're going to do FSD unsupervised, do you think that's going to happen this year?
I mean, listen, everything's changed for what is the definition of unsupervised and what people's sentiment and what their beliefs were. I think 2 years ago, many people would have laughed and mocked Waymo for their driverless systems, which require remote interventions. We define intervention. Let's not. I want to say interventions. I want to say operators, but basically the system was engineered to, when it's unsure, stop and call home and have someone tap on the screen. Okay, go this way or whatever. I don't even know the exact details. Um, but I think for Tesla at this point, when they do unsupervised, I think that's what they're going to do because they're certainly not at the critical disengagement rate that would allow this thing to be fully unsupervised. Um, so, and I don't know the data specifically in Austin, Texas. I'm sure it's better than the average, but is it at a point where it could be that high of fidelity? I don't think so yet. So, you're sure they got like 6 months to improve the models, which will improve. But even then, right now maybe they're at what, 1,000, 5,000 miles per critical disengagement. I'm just giving you the best case not overall for sure, right? But let's say in Austin, and I don't even know if that's True. So if they 5x their improved performance, they're still at like 25,000 miles per critical disengagement. That's still not high enough for unsupervised, fully unsupervised. So to me, they're going to have some remote engineering system around intervening here, not like correcting this thing in real time, but like the cars and the software is going to be engineered to slow down or stop when it's not sure about things, which may be different from how it operates today. And and then it'll basically phone home to ask for help. And I think that combination, much like Waymo, could get you to a performance of a robo taxi that doesn't get in accidents often. So I think my bet is that's the way they would go, given the timeline.
Okay, so they're gonna have some human supervision, kind of like Waymo, and start that. You think this year they're gonna do commercial paid rides this year in Austin?
Well, first of all, that's what he's claiming they want to do, correct?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be about the main bottleneck there to getting that to work. To me, is not the performance of FSD per se. I mean, obviously, that's a grand bottleneck. It's going to be engineering the system to work with remote operators. That's different from how FSD operates today. The optimization of FSD, the choices it makes, the modeling of uncertainty uh, is tuned differently. It's tuned for having a person in the car correct the action in real time, and having a remote person make a choice is different. It's not going to be in real time. So the software has to be more careful. You can't have false negatives. It can't think there's a car, maybe there's a car on the other side of the road, or and it's trying to pass something. And now it might be like, well, maybe there's a car. I think there's only a 20% chance. So I'll go because, hey, the person behind the wheel can correct me if I'm wrong. If you only have a remote interventionalist, you're gonna have to say, oh, 20%. No, that's way too high. Let's not do that choice, or let's stop and ask someone to help. So it's gonna have to be engineered and optimized differently. And so I think that I don't know if they're working on it. They haven't said anything about that. Obviously, I'm speculating in general that this is something they're going to do. But if they're going to do it, then that's going to be a big engineering effort, and we don't know about it.
Okay, but so you didn't give me a clear answer. Do you expect that to happen this year?
You're right. I did not answer it. I mean, we know the CEO is never on time with these predictions. So I I still would bet by the end of the year, just to get it in within the year, they're going to have something running. Maybe it's not full scale. They're going to have like one car, 10 cars running around doing this in Austin. I think by the end of the year, they will.
Hmm. Okay. You don't sound very certain about it. Otherwise, I was going to give you a coffee bet, but I guess not. Um, what do you feel strongly about these days? Anything?
I think society's effed. That's what I'm confident about.
Okay, but investment wise, Tesla, Nvidia,
No, I think
um,
these things are all,
DeepSeek.
no, I mean, like everything's changing quickly. Um, in my mind, most of these tech companies are healthily valued. Obviously, you think they're overvalued. I'm not saying that they're going to go down. I just think there's not much reward in thinking these companies are going to be doubling in price or something in the next year, or going up 50%. And I haven't been, I'm not going to act like I know individual companies' metrics in depth to be confident that I see some winner. You know, when I recognized Tesla many years ago, right? I was really into the company, and I followed the financials and the goals, and you could see when it was really undervalued. And that was just by chance. A year ago, Nvidia, that's just by chance that it was talk of the town, and you go look at the financials and realize, wow, this thing like what it's making in money this quarter and what they're saying they're projecting, like it's undervalued even just in the short term. Nowadays, I don't not following any companies to where I know that to be the case. So I have no confidence in any individual companies other than my own, but that's a private company, so can't
Hmm.
can't invest there anymore. Uh, so if I have more time soon, I would like to get more into following some companies and see if there's
Yeah,
anything out there.
you've been kind of out of the game. It sounds
I'm
like
out
you've
of the
been out of
game,
the
yeah,
game.
but that
Yeah.
I, but that's why I'm happy with my investment strategy around index funds because it's working well and it requires minimal paying attention to specific companies, and so I want that to work well as a baseline. And then if I also, in addition to that, find individual companies with an opportunity, right, I can mix that in too, but I don't have to. And that's the difference from years ago where I felt like I had to make bets on companies like VinFast or something like that. And I don't want to force the issue. So I think
Hmm.
I will have more time soon to kind of get back into that.
Okay. What do you think? Have you been following the deep seek news? What do you think about mixture of experts approach? Do you think this will lead to a breakthrough for Tesla, or is this something I should talk about Meta instead of you?
Yeah, you should talk with him more. I mean, I know about mixture of experts, some, but I don't have a good thought process on how much that would help Tesla specifically.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't have strong thoughts on that. I mean, in general, it, you know, any of these performance of these new models and new techniques that people have are going to spread among all these different companies, and it's just like one person standing on the shoulders of another. This doesn't mean China software developers are passing up American ones, or whoever else. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to need less compute. That's hard to project out. Much like everything else, I tend to agree with the belief that even if they reduce computation time uh, based on using some new techniques, that people will just it becomes cheaper and people will use it more for more models. But I don't know. The whole area is moving too fast for what I'm paying attention to like care, to be honest, about specific techniques. Unless I have to use them in my personal work, I just don't care.
Hmm. Okay. Um, all right. What's the latest on your Optimus or robotaxis to first billion profits? What's your latest position?
I don't know. No change.
What was your biggest takeaway from the earnings call on Tesla? Anything that's surprising to you?
I mean, I do think it's surprising that they would even consider upgrading people with hardware 3 to
Hmm.
hardware 4 just
Hmm.
because it's going to be costly for them. Uh, Based on his own comments before, and other people have broken down the hardware, it's not a simple upgrade to go from hardware 3 to hardware 4. So if they want to do it, I mean, I guess that's not going to be for people investing in the company. That's not to me a financial positive. Um, for
Hmm.
personal owners, that's a positive.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of surprising, and I don't even
I
know
mean,
if that's.
I think we're only talking like 100,000 people. It's not
I
that
just
many
still don't know if
cars,
that's even going to happen still.
right?
So
You still have your hardware 2.5 Model 3, right?
absolutely,
Are you
yeah.
buying the new one, the new Model Y?
Maybe in a year, I was thinking maybe I'll get a new car because my drivetrain warranty, right? It's like 8 years, so I'm kind of thinking that'd be a good time to switch. I don't know what I'll get. I would certainly have thought even a year ago I would definitely get a Tesla, but this guy is kind of getting really annoying. Um, yeah, he's pretty annoying now. So even to the point, and usually I don't care. But yeah, he's there's some things that are yeah, give me a point where I'm like, ah, maybe I would just get a Rivian.
Get out of town. You're not gonna buy a Rivian.
I mean, first of all, I definitely think the Rivians look better. I've already said that before. That's a personal taste. Um, but the finances of that company are
Mhm.
questionable. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But before I would have been easily, yeah, I get a Model Y. Probably still go that
Right.
way, but who knows? We'll
You
see in
like
a
the
year.
way it looks?
Model Y is okay. It's
Yeah.
it's it's not great, but it's not bad. There's so
Hmm.
many here. I mean, it's like obviously the most popular specific model of any car, especially in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Um, but
I
you know,
was up in Boston um, a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realize how immense pressure there is to not buy a Tesla in very liberal cities. Like neighbors see your car and they really talk about Elon and Tesla in a very, very negative light. And this is like everybody I spoke with, and I spoke with a bunch of people there. And I just didn't realize how intense that is. And I can't imagine that being any different in California or, also in Philadelphia, obviously. Just, and maybe some Chicago too. I don't know, just these liberal cities, like it's so intense and it's only getting more intense. Like these drops, year-over-year drops in Tesla sales across Europe is kind of crazy.
I would say here it's almost a little different in the sense that so many people have Teslas already that it would just be exhausting for people to try to bring up how could you own that car or something because so many people do. It's
Hmm.
almost too common to get upset about that. Certainly, the people have the same feelings about the CEO, but I mean, I've
But see,
never.
they wouldn't be buying again. You know,
Yes,
like they
right.
may
No,
not
that
go
part's.
around and sell their cars,
ab-
but they'll be less likely to buy again.
I'm just saying they're not coming up in conversation like, how could you own a Tesla? It's just
Hmm.
they've been around so long, and there's too many here for people. To, like, it's like a Honda. Like, even if the Honda CEO, started doing Heil Hitler and people were
Oh
turned
my
off,
gosh! Oh my
then
gosh! Yeah.
no one's going to come up to the Honda people and be like, "How can you own a Honda?" It's like so many people own a Honda and they know they bought
I
it.
mean, people are going around and doing like spray painting Cybertrucks and everything. It's just getting more and more intense. And I'm getting questions. I mean, I'm short Tesla. I'm getting questions about Elon's actions. Like I'm getting asked
Yeah.
to justify his actions. I'm like, I'm short the company. like.
All I'll say is, again, from an investment standpoint, the potential black swan events around that person and the company
Hmm.
are higher than people are estimating, I would say.
Hmm. I
And you
agree.
just think about what could happen in the next few years. Uh, if something happened, that stock price will go down 50% easily.
I think the stock price will go down 50% without a black swan
Right.
event. Yeah.
So I just think, yeah, people don't want to buy the cars less and less for sure. I mean, even just in the last month, it's gonna it's gonna get worse, and it hasn't even shown up
Yeah.
yet.
Well, let's turn to one of my subscribers. I got subscribers now. A bunch of them, a dozen of them. We had the first subscribers only space last night. It was really good. We analyzed the news of the weekend. We did a look ahead to the week ahead, and I think we pretty much nailed it. To be honest with you, this morning and etc. ACDC was part of there too. I see he's in listen, but he can't come up if he wants to. He was spot on. Subscriber Chris James, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Yaman? Yeah, I had a great time at the subscriber only space last night, so I recommend anyone listening subscribe for $5 a month. Totally worth it.
Thank you.
Uh, I wanted to ask Machine. You said was it Elon that is annoying you, and you don't want to buy a Tesla because he's annoying? Was that right?
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely annoying now.
Okay. There's a ton of used Model Ys on the market now. I was just looking on Facebook. I saw Model Y Performance selling for $20,000 in the Boston area, which is crazy. So I don't know. Maybe you can put your personal annoyance aside and pick up a cheap Model Y.
Well, I mean, that first of all, I have a Tesla. I've had it since 2018. But it's just about yeah, for the next upgrade.
You
We'll
can give
see.
your old Model 3 to me.
I think
I'll pay you a
yeah,
couple $1,000 for it.
only I was looking it up. I think I could still get
Bullshit. You can't get shit
18,000.
for that. Are you fucking kidding me? 2.5?
I looked it up.
Hardware 2.5? You looked
No,
up
no,
what?
you see, that's the problem. You see, but you're being you're
What would you get for it?
contradicting.
What would you get for it? What would you get
You're
for it?
contradicting yourself,
No.
okay?
What did
Because
you
you're
get
the
for it?
same person who's looked
That's
up.
not the same person. That
Wait, listen.
was the 2020 Yaman. This is
No, no, no. No,
2025
you're not. You
Yaman.
let me finish my sentence.
I'm version
Oh
13. Go
my
ahead.
god. Is that when you look up what the value is of FSD in the used car market, it's a few $1,000, right?
Couple
That's what
thousand,
people
yeah.
are willing to pay. So it doesn't actually affect used car prices that much. Okay. So yeah, it's like 18-20,000 still for that 2018 long range hardware 2.5 because most people don't care. Now maybe that'll change.
Why don't we just check right now what CarMax will offer you?
I have to go to get my VIN in the garage, but yeah, I should do that.
How much do you think you can sell it for?
I thought I was looking. I think like 18 still.
Are you fucking out of your mind? You need to get yourself checked, bro.
There's only I only have like 40-50,000 miles on this thing. I think.
I mean that's great, but that's still 2018 car. Like you don't
Yeah, maybe
like you
I
don't
15.
I think
you
it's
don't do
possible,
you don't even
but
have like the heater thing, right?
No heat
What's
pump,
that
right?
called?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, heat pump, exactly. I'll be right back. Hold on, I'm getting connection issues. You guys keep going.
the the VIN is in the.
yeah. I mean, fine, fine. Let me get my phone. So you want me to go to CarMax and enter my VIN? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that your estimate isn't too far off. To be honest, I would say you'd get at least 15K.
All right, let me check.
Just go to kbb.com and enter the year, model, mileage. You'll get it pretty quick. It's pretty consistent also. Machine, to put you on the spot further, when are you getting a subscription so we can also have you on the subscribers only space?
Oh, I don't have time to be on here much anyway, so it's not happening.
You guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna bring you back up if this is possible. Another bug, more bugs on X Spaces. Request to speak if you can't hear me. Request to speak.
I can hear you, Mom.
Request to speak if you can't hear me.
Can you hear us, Iman?
Request to speak if you can't hear me. I'm gonna restart this. All right, let's keep going. Sorry about that disruption. I don't know what happened, but let's bring those people who are on the speaker board up again. In the meantime, I'm going to read a few headlines while everybody kind of settles back. These bugs on X Spaces is kind of wild, but it is what it is, you know. Fed's Bostic says to cut again would want to see housing inflation begin to slow. Bostic says does not expect clarity on inflation enough by March to move. ACDC is here. Come on back up to speaker board, Chris. ACDC, welcome back. Sorry about the disruption. I'm not sure what happened. I think it's just, the X bugs are crazy, man. What do you think of a market action today?
Can you hear me, Aman? Because it shows me as a listener
Yeah.
only here.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay. Pretty much kind of like what we talked about last night. One of the scenarios that I laid out was if Mexico, who has not laid out a definitive plan, comes into the negotiations, and they did. So now we've regained back half of the losses, and the other half remains on Canada, which I still think is a wild card there because, I mean, you're talking about Trudeau. Trudeau's on his way out. He kind of has nothing to lose. So he may or may not come to the table.
When is he leaving?
I'm not sure exactly the timeline, but I think he's pretty much said that he's out. So he's not worried about re-election. And, in that kind of a scenario, the damage that he does or doesn't do, it doesn't matter to him.
Yeah. Chris, what were you guys talking about before I had to leave and got disconnected?
I just suggested that machine copy paste his VIN from the Tesla app into CarMax and see what they offer him. CarMax usually offers the best cash offer.
Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to get Machine to join as a subscriber so he could share his immense intelligence with us once a week.
There's no way. Like the day Machine subscribes to my ex is the day hell broke loose. Zero chance that will happen. I give zero chance. I will bet Machine Coffee that he will not subscribe to my ex account. ACDC, do you have any thoughts on Palantir at all? They're going to announce earnings tonight after hours.
I don't, and I wouldn't want to speak about something that's not my expertise, so I'll refrain on that.
Yeah. I mean, are they more closer to Salesforce than any other company, you think?
I'm not sure, but I think their involvement with the defense sector definitely helps them. But Salesforce is just, force to be reckoned with, no pun intended. I spoke to somebody just yesterday who's got an AI model that they're implementing within Salesforce, automating Salesforce, and it's a business all by itself. I mean, it's great to see the software and the application side of what AI is already put into workforces. And, we're all focused on the big picture, FSD and robots, while all this stuff is really already happening.
Right. Right. Okay. Chris, I was looking after our conversation last night, I was looking at some used Model Y prices, and I don't really see the plunge in values just yet. Maybe I kind of asked people to look up the trade-in values of their vehicles on the app, and then I'll keep a track of that. I'll do that again. Let's see if there's a big change.
So, Yaman, I did look up the inventory, and it's kind of been like all weirded out recently with the changes. Earlier in the year, there was like zero inventory available on Ys, and now there's huge inventory on the Ys. So these are 2025 wise, but the old models, not the refreshed. And they have them marked off at the biggest discount that I've seen. You have long range going for 44.5. You have performance going for like 49 or so. So this is the steepest discounts on Model Ys that they're offering in any recent time.
For the old model, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And are they doing the 0% interest rate still? I think it's gonna
I
come,
didn't
and it's
I
got
didn't
to
see
come
that, but I
again.
could check
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's got to come again. I mean, I think Q1 deliveries are going to be kind of shockingly low, and I think they're going to have a negative bottom line in Q1, but we'll see. So ACDC was saying that he doesn't think Canada will have the same reprieve that Mexico did, because Trudeau is on the way out.
It could or it could not, but I just think it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Positive, though, definitely is that, just last week they were talking about Canada and Mexico alliance to fight against the terrorists. That whole stuff is crumbled now. So more than likely, I think they will come to the table. But like I said, there's a wild card where they could reject it.
I think people are also underestimating the longer term impact from all these back and forths with countries. But anyway, are you deploying any cash today, ACDC?
I did a little bit, so I'm not stepping into the high risk assets or changing my overall thesis, but some of the names that I had been picking up earlier, I did pick some of those up as soon as the news hit the wire on Mexico. And I just think that, and I'm talking part positions, so I'll buy more if this doesn't go through with Canada. And I do agree with you that these are not like one and done negotiations. So Trump put out a note today that this is basically, and it was highlighting, summarizing his conversation with Mexico. And he clearly is talking that now they're going to start the deal. And just yesterday, he spoke to some questions, and he clearly stated that the U.S. has been disadvantaged in trade across the world, and he's going to make sure that we have an advantage on the trading front. So there's going to be a lot of negotiations, but I think overall and at the end, U.S. will come out as a winner, and it's going to help the country's trade and specific companies, which will, for the first time, be able to have a new market into Canada and into Mexico and other countries as they come along.
Okay, thank you. Couple of headlines by Trump in the last half hour or so. Trump says, "I'm not happy with Panama's situation, but they have agreed to some things. We will have a call with Panama on Friday. I haven't seen conflict of interest with Elon. I want Ukraine to give us rare earths. We're telling Ukraine they have valuable rare earths, and we want a guarantee. Okay. If I can't make a deal with China, tariffs will be substantial. He likes the idea of reciprocal tariffs on more countries. Crypto has grown, but it's still a small portion." This is Sorry, let's continue with Trump first. "We should use fewer chemicals in agriculture. China tariffs will go up if we can't make a deal. China tariffs were an opening salvo. China will be dealt with on Panama Canal." Okay. And then Bostic, Fed official, says crypto has grown, but it's still a small portion of the financial system. Not clear what it might substitute for. Bostic also says he wants to see, before cutting, he wants to see more housing inflation beginning to slow down. And also says he doesn't really have clarity on inflation enough by March to move. So either May or June is going to be the next cut, it sounds like, if there is one.
I think crypto is mostly bouncing back, not just on this news, but also on the news of David Sachs. I think it's on Wednesday he's going to talk and address everybody on the state of crypto and its positioning within the new government.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. The crypto prices started moving a few hours before the stock market bounced today, which is kind of interesting. Or the news that Mexico deal was reached. So now Bitcoin is above 100,000, but the rest of the cryptocurrencies have kind of plunged and they haven't really recovered that much. All right, let's see. There's more headlines from Trump. We will speak to China over the next 24 hours, probably. We'll have a big negotiation with Mexico. Wouldn't mind making our cars in the US. We don't need Canadian cars, lumber, or agriculture. Leaving out oil from that list. We're not treated well by Canada. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet with Mexico. Trump says he had good talk with Trudeau. US to again withdraw from the UN Human Rights Council. Stop UNRWA funding, according to Politico. Trump also says we had a great talk with Mexico, but we have to stop fentanyl. And nobody's out of tariffs. We won't let Elon go places where there's a conflict. Okay. We'll be doing something perhaps with TikTok if we can make the right deal. He also created a sovereign wealth fund, apparently. Trump says TikTok could go into the sovereign wealth fund. Signed executive order to create sovereign wealth fund. Trump says we made a lot of progress on Russia and Ukraine. Okay. All right. Any other news or so we call it a day? It's been more than an hour. We've been going. Nvidia is down 2.4%. Tesla is down more than 6%, kind of making up for the odd bounce late last week after the earnings. And Palantir is going to announce earnings after hours today. Palantir is up about 2% already. Palantir has been very strong in the last month or so. I mean, very, very strong. Huge outperformance since mid-January, from $65 per share to now $85 per share. 400 plus PE ratio, $200 billion market cap. Price to sales ratio of, I don't even know, it's kind of sky high. It's absurd. They're growing about 20, 30% year over year. I think annual run rate of revenues of about $2.5 billion. And the market cap is 200 billion. I mean, that's insane. Isn't that crazy? Is it just me or is this kind of crazy?
The valuation is absolutely nuts.
It's absurd. And the CEO was selling billions of dollars of stock at half the price that it was before, just a few months ago. Isn't that crazy? That's so wild to me.
Yeah, man, I missed the beginning of the call, so I'm not sure if you and Machine covered. I think, by the way, somebody do a wellness check on Machine. He may have had a heart attack after finding out the true value on his Tesla. But is there a specific reason you think that Tesla hasn't really recovered much today? I mean, it seems like it's bouncing off of its lows right here.
No, I think the stock is just extremely overvalued. I think it was a really, really odd bounce last week after the results were announced. The results are horrendous. Q1 is going to be really bad. And, it's clear that this stock is just extremely manipulated with zero dated options, zero DTE options, 0 days to expiration options, and, gamma squeezes and everything. So just nature of the company. But at the end of the day, fundamentals always matter.
And it looks like it just broke through its 50-day average today. And once again, I'm not a technical expert, but I think it could probably go up to down to as low as 300 before stabilizing here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. All right.
Is there just one quick
Chris,
question?
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Ace.
Is there any target in your mind where you would think maybe Tesla looks kind of reasonable given current
Well,
market
I think
scenario?
it depends on the fundamentals at the time. Like for example, he said Optimus, they're going to produce this and that much, etc. But it depends on how the production ramp goes, what the competitive landscape is like at that time. Like the fact right now is Tesla is losing massive market share in China and Europe. And the only reason why it's holding up in the US is because BYD and other Chinese automakers are not allowed to compete in the US, which is amazing to me. It's an incredible thing to me that the United States, it does not want competition in the country. That's crazy. What a change. And but that's the way it is. So I just don't think that Tesla can sustain these valuations with just one country's sales. And even Canada now is out of the picture for Tesla. And they sell, I think Troy was saying 40, 50,000 vehicles a year. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't see FSD unsupervised or robotaxis or Optimus anytime soon in the next couple of years here. And Elon isn't focused on the company. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Chris?
Yeah, I'm starting to look at Tesla as like a $1 trillion pre-revenue AI robotics startup. And to put things in perspective with Optimus, I'm asking the question, does anyone in the world have a humanoid robot? Can they make a video about it? Is there any analysts testing these humanoid robots? And so far, I mean, I don't know of anyone that has a humanoid robot anywhere in the world from a single company, like a full size human, not like a little one, like one that's actually useful. Do you guys know of anyone that has one?
I mean,
Anyone?
there's a bunch of people. The point is like there are hundreds and hundreds of companies that are doing the same thing, and I don't really see a durable competitive advantage for Tesla on the humanoid space. Unfortunately, it's not like back in the cars when Tesla had a 10-year head start, a decade head start. Chris, you have to mute yourself when you're not talking. Thank you. It's not like with the cars, Tesla had a 10-year head start on gigafactories. Tesla has failed to vertically integrate into battery manufacturing. These global tariff wars are going to continue to escalate with all countries involved. And I think these markets are going to continue to be shut out for American companies. And FSD is moving in the right direction, but very slowly. It's not moving at an accelerating pace or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, even the decade head start that Tesla had versus other companies has evaporated now. I mean, Tesla's gross margin, excluding ZEV credit sales, is only 13% overall. And so I just don't see how, like, they don't make any money in China. They're losing market share in China at a very rapid pace. Chinese automakers are growing double digits. One of them is growing triple digits year over year in January. And we haven't yet seen the impact of the whole headlines around Nazi salute. That's going to happen in February. So I just don't see how Tesla doesn't lose billions of dollars this year, honestly. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do kind of pull a rabbit out of the hat and do robotaxis this year. Who knows? I don't know.
Just to respond to that, I know there's like a lot of companies working on humanoid robots. I want to know if any of them have shipped anything.
Yeah. I saw a YouTube video the other day of a YouTube influencer testing some humanoids but everything, but I don't think that matters too much. Like, where is the manufacturing expertise that people talk about with Tesla? I don't. If Tesla is such manufacturing prowess, where is the Cybertruck cost declines? Where is the 4680 production ramp? Where is the vehicle, cost per unit? And the leading, I mean, BYD has half the ASPs, and it makes more profits than Tesla does today. Gross margins are higher, and net profit is higher than Tesla. So I don't know. We have a new speaker. Saul, go ahead.
Hey, do you think you'll ever be able to buy Tesla at any kind of discount?
You mean like the stock?
It'll never happen. Yeah,
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen in the next 12 months to the stock?
I have no idea. But I don't think
Oh,
you're going to get this company on sale anytime soon, just because
well,
of the talent that they draw, the capital that they have.
okay, great. Jimmy?
Yeah, I was gonna add BYD is building a huge factory in Mexico right now. And when Trump's out of office, you better believe that America's gonna open up Chinese EVs in the United States. They're just gonna take over everybody. And then next week, GM is actually gonna go on a 2-week break. They're gonna shut all their lines down for 2 weeks. Nissan's already cutting off 2 of their shifts. The auto industry in America is starting to fail.
Where did you see GM going on 2-week break?
I shouldn't tell people that.
GM scheduled that's 2023. Let's see.
You're not going to find that until next week.
That's got to be like one or two factories. I mean, that can't be the entire thing.
It's 2 factories.
Okay, there you go. One or two factories. I mean, Tesla did the same thing with the Cybertruck line, didn't they?
Did they? I didn't think they shut
Yeah.
down for 2 weeks, did they?
Yeah, last quarter. All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, man.
All right. Anything else we're going to talk about? Nvidia is highly traded today. That's also interesting too. Okay, let's call it a day. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll chat with you all next time. Take care.